Here's the thing. For everybody listening, don't make the same mistake the Bengals just did in any facet of your life.
People are going to get hurt. It's the hockey season. And if they want to make the deep run to the playoffs, they're going to need players. And Ben Hutton's a good defenseman that can help.
I don't think they will. If they don't have Anthony Davis, I'm saying it right now, if Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
I was very tempted to just put defense.
What about the Jared Cook play on the sideline? And then Mason Crosby's 55-yard field goal or something like that. That was a good one.
Come on, Austin and I have been saying this ever since Joe Burrow got injured.
I just do not see Harden putting in the same amount of effort into each game. Yeah, I honestly believe that's why he hasn't won a championship yet.
That's a perfect name. What you said, name brand players. Like, it's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I swear we didn't script that.
Fultz is injured, and he really hasn't lived up to the potential of being the number one overall pick when he was selected by the Sixers.
Like you said, Ovechkin, he's getting older. He hasn't been playing as well as I imagined. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, but he hasn't started off this season as hot as I would hope.
How is Joe Burrow going to get the ball to them if his butt is already on the ground when he finally decides who to throw to?
I don't really think the Dodgers are going to make the World Series this year. I feel like they'll make it to the NLCS.
And then I want to talk about the Fernando Tatis extension, because that really surprised me. Because he's so young. You see the Chiefs beefing up their O-line, and then you have the Buccaneers beefing up their defensive line.
Ingrained in the life of Tom Brady and what winning actually looks like, I think will be a very good move for Bruce Arians and this Bucs organization.
Hi, I'm Jeff Allen, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? It is that time of year. It's the NFL draft. Really surprised me this year, but it was fun making the mock draft. Did some preparation. But if I get nothing right, I'm not surprised. This draft to me just seems so wild. There's no clear number one. Austin, I'll let you talk about it, and then you'll talk about the points, and then go straight into your number one overall pick.
Yeah, we're recording this the day of. It's going to be posted before the draft. But we decided to take as long as possible because we had a lot of thinking to do. It's a very fluid draft. A lot of people could go really high, and that same person in another mock draft is off the board. I've seen a lot of those where this player's top 10 on somebody else's board and then not in the first round and somebody else's. So it's crazy fluid. I'm excited. That normally means the draft's really fun to watch because you have no idea what's going to happen. Those are definitely my favorite drafts to watch. But let me explain the points. It's the same points we did last year, but just in case you did not watch that video, you get 1 point to the right team. So the example that Kevin and I were talking about beforehand to explain it to each other, Malik Willis, right, gets taken by the Steelers. If you say Malik Willis taken by the Steelers and he goes to the Steelers, you get a point. If you say Malik Willis at 9 to the Steelers, you get 2 points because you got the pick as well. But it's the Seahawks who have 9. If they take Malik Willis, you get a point as well because you have it at 9. So it's either the pick you have goes to the player, the team you have that picks the player, or both. So it's either Malik Willis to the Steelers, you get a point. Malik Willis to the Steelers at 10, you get 2 points. And then Malik Willis to the whoever has 10, I think the Jazz said it doesn't even make any sense. But you get a point there because you say that Malik Willis is going at 10.
Cool. That works. And then we'll get right into it. You're on the clock, Austin.
So with the first pick in the NFL draft, Aiden Hutchinson goes to the Jaguars, edge rusher. I believe he is the highest floor of any player in this draft. Now, I do not think he's even close to the highest ceiling, but he is the safest pick. And with the Jaguars, with how their team is run right now, I feel like safer is a much better option. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I would take Aiden Hutchinson for the reasons you said. Like, the Jags, you just need players, and Aiden Hutchinson is a player, so get him. But I'm going to go with the betting odds that changed. I have the Jaguars selecting Trayvon Walker, who's more upside. And he was on an incredible defense last year with Georgia, so maybe, like, there were just so many great players on the Georgia defense. Maybe he got lost in the pile, but I'm not sure. But it seems like the Jaguars are going to do that, so that's my number one overall pick.
So your pick's Trayvon Walker?
Yeah, Trayvon Walker.
Got it. Okay.
And then You're doing odds. I'm doing evens. So evens. I have the Lions selecting the kid from Michigan, Aiden Hutchinson, and I think that's a great pick. They need defensive end, and they get a guy that's been in their state.
Yeah, I have Kayvon Thibodeau, the guy from Oregon. The Lions take him as well. I think that he's a great edge rusher. I would say the highest ceiling of any edge rusher is Thibodeau. Trayvon Walker's right in that middle where he has a high ceiling but a lower floor than Aiden Hutchinson. Kayvon probably has the lowest floor of any of the three, but I do think he has the potential to be the best player in the draft. So when we look down when they retire, I think he has the highest potential to be the best player in the draft. So I think the Lions take him here.
Interesting. Yeah, he's a guy that I saw like some people having him out of the top 10 or like some having him go number 1. And I'm like, this is interesting.
Yeah, I'm really high on him, but there's a big discrepancy. Most people are really high or really low on him, and I don't really understand that. But again, with players with a really low floor or really high ceiling, that's what you can get. So number 3, my turn. Texans keep their pick. They take Evan Neal, offensive lineman. I believe that Evan Neal is the best offensive lineman in the draft, and I believe that the Texans also truly think that their quarterback that they have right now, David Mills, is the future of the team as a QB. I really like how he did last year, and I think an offensive lineman's the best move.
Yeah, so I have Texans going offensive lineman as well, but it's Ikem Okonwu. I think there have been some rumblings about like Evan Neal's height and weight, so I just think maybe the Texans select Ikem. But we both have him going offensive line because I agree. I think Davis Mills, like, just see what happens with Davis Mills, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But just build from the ground up, and it allows you to trade Laramie Tunsil if you want and gain more picks. So now it's 4. I have the Jets. I have them selecting a cornerback, Ahmed Garner, Sauce Garner. He only allowed 1 touchdown. I believe that was in the Alabama
Yeah,
game.
I
Or
think
did
he allowed
not?
1 touchdown and had no penalties. I'm pretty sure that was his stat line. It was crazy.
Like, he's a great corner. I know there are like debates about is Derek Stingley better or Sauce Gardner. I just have Ahmed Gardner being selected because Jets just need defense. And when was the last time the Jets really had a all-star corner?
Darrelle Revis.
Darrelle Revis? And then Antonio Cromartie on the other side. So it's been a while, and Robert Saleh, I think, wants to build up this defense, and I think Ahmed Gardner is a great start.
I totally agree with you on the fact that they need to build up their defense, but I'm going Trayvon Walker, who you had at 1. I think falls to 4. He has a lower floor than Aiden Hutchinson, but I believe his floor is not as low as Kayvon Thibodeau, and I believe he has a ceiling higher than Aiden Hutchinson, but a ceiling lower than Kayvon. He's right in that middle. I love his athleticism, his speed at the position, but as a defensive lineman, I feel like the Jets go with him. The top 3 edge rushers or defensive linemen are very, very talented, and it's very close between them. And I really was going back and forth, but I was fine with my last pick. So I think Trayvon to the Jets.
Yeah, and that's not a bad pick because they upgrade their defense some way, and that's what they need to do. Like, the defense was like the worst in all categories.
Yeah, it was worse in almost all categories. I'm pretty sure their points was like second to last, but I could be wrong there. I think the Jaguars will add more points, but I could be wrong. At number 5, Giants keep their pick and they take Derek Stingley Jr. I'm on the side that I think he's the better corner of the two, even though it's close. And so I think Giants take a corner here and try to build up a defense around what has been a lackluster team this past since Eli Manning left.
Yeah, so I haven't built up their defense, but I have them going with Kayvon Thibodeau, like you mentioned. I think they'll add up that defensive line. So I just have them going pressure because they want to get pressure to the Cowboys, Washington, and the Eagles. And you can never have too much pressure.
That's true, as we saw in many Super Bowls.
So, it's mine. I keep forgetting. Number 6, my first QB is off the board, and it is Kenny Pickett. I think this would be a bad pick with Pickett, because I think highest. If you told me in 3 years from now, Malik Willis is the best QB out of this class, I would be like, okay, I can see that because Willis has some great skills, but I've heard like Pickett was recruited by Matt Rule at Temple, and then the owner for the Panthers went to Pitt. So I just think there's that connection there, and I have the Panthers selecting Kenny Pickett.
Wow. So I have them staying on the opposite side of the ball, but I think they take an offensive lineman, Akeem Mkanwu, who you had at 3. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that they should go offensive line here, especially because I believe those top 2 offensive linemen are very, very, very good. And actually the top 3, and we'll get to him soon enough. But I think they're so good that you should take them. And while a lot of people are off of Sam Darnold, I don't see why you wouldn't try him at the beginning of next season and then move off of him next year whenever the QB class is much deeper.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I would not take a QB, but I think the Panthers are off on Sam Darnold, and they're going to end up taking QB. But I think it would be the better route to do what you said. But I'm predicting that they don't do that.
I just have to say, the pick you just made is going to sound crazy at the end of my draft. Just to give a little bit of a teaser, it's really crazy what this will turn into at the end of my draft. But 7, I have my first trade. Saints trade with Giants. They take Charles Cross, offensive lineman. We know that they've lost some offensive linemen. They need to pick it up. I believe these top 3 offensive linemen are that good to where the Saints trade up. They trade both their 16 and their 19 to the Giants, and the Giants also give them a second round pick. So they give their 7 and their second round pick for the 16 and 19 from the Saints. And like I said, the Saints take Charles Cross.
Interesting. I have the Giants staying and selecting an offensive lineman, and it's Evan Neal. So that would be crazy with 7 with the Saints trading up, because moving on to 8, I have the Saints trading up to 8 with the Falcons, trading one of their picks. So they swap 16, but they keep 19. They give a pick for next year, because the Falcons, I think, want to have more picks next year in case they want to go get a QB. But the Saints get their QB in Malik Willis.
Wow, Saints get Malik Willis. Wow. So at 8, I had the Falcons keeping their pick, and they take Jermaine Johnson, the second edge rusher. I really like his intangibles, and I've seen many people have him in the top 3. And I really think Jermaine Johnson, who obviously went to Florida State, edge rusher, I like his intangibles, and I think the Falcons are going to try to build up a defense that's been very lackluster in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing for them. Falcons, you just need to add a lot. But now you can move on to 9.
9, my second trade already. 2 trades. Steelers trade with Seahawks, take Malik Willis at 9. First QB off the board for me, Malik Willis. I do believe that he is the highest upside besides Desmond Ritter. I think Desmond Ritter probably has the highest upside. Malik Willis, I'd put it 2. I really like both of those guys, but I think Malik Willis has a higher floor than Desmond Ritter, because I think Desmond Ritter could really be really, really insane or not great at all. It just depends on coaching. And so I feel like Malik Willis is taken here. The Seahawks trade their pick. And that's going to be a trade. They trade down to 20, and the Steelers also give them a second and a third.
Interesting. So I'm surprised that you said Desmond Ritter has a high ceiling. To me, I think he has a great floor. Like, I think he will, at best, like, I think he'll be an average QB. He could be better, but I don't know if he's going to be, like, incredible. But I could be wrong. But I just really like Desmond Ritter, but I don't have him going yet. For Seattle, I'm selecting a corner in Derek Stingley Jr. So the guy, you have the best corner in the draft. I have him falling to 9, and Seattle just getting good players like Stingley. Yeah, so 10. I keep forgetting. 10, I have the Jets. So the Jets have been Deebo Samuel. I've been talking about Deebo Samuel. They won Tyreek Hill. They don't trade. They get Drake London, the wide receiver from USC.
I believe they do trade. So I think Deebo goes to the Jets. I have 3 trades between 7, 9, and 10. So between 7 and 10, I have 7, 9, and 10 all being traded. Niners trade with Jets. Niners take Jameson Williams. I believe the best wide receiver in the draft. Even though he tore his ACL in the national championship game, I do think that he will be outstanding at the pro level when the Niners take him to try to bolster that offense for Trey Lance.
Okay. Got you. You have the Niners. Okay. So I was going to ask, we can have Debo Samuel trades because I have a Debo Samuel trade,
Yeah.
but it's not for a little.
I have
You'll
mine
find
right
out.
here. I think the Jets take trade a future first as well, and then probably a fifth or a fourth. Because Debo wants to go, it does lessen his value. So people are like, oh, multiple firsts, but there's no way the Jets trade their four, in my opinion. There's no way because picking up Trayvon
Yeah.
Walker is not worth it to give it away when obviously they could take, like I said, Trayvon Walker. But at 11, I have the guy you just mentioned, Drake London, going to Washington to try to help their new Carson Wentz-led offense. I like Drake London. I just don't think he's the best wide receiver in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. My thing with Williams is the ACL, so he's gonna miss a little bit of time. So I don't know if a team like the Jets.
I'm pretty sure, unless I read this wrong.
I think he's gonna miss rookie minicamp.
Yeah, that may be it. But I'm pretty sure he'll be back by OTAs.
Well, yeah, but like you never know, so maybe they don't want to rush it. So I think they may take some time with the team that drafts him. But with the Commanders, I have Charles Cross being selected, building up that offensive line for Carson Wentz so he has enough time. So we have them both going offensive side of the ball. But now I think we can go to 12, where I have the Vikings selecting Andrew Booth Jr., the cornerback from Clemson.
You have him falling to 12. I had the Vikings taking Jordan Davis, big boy out of Georgia. One of my favorite players to watch last year in college football. He was so entertaining and was a big part of that national championship team. I think the Vikings need to improve their defense, so they take Jordan Davis. You obviously went defense as well. I feel like that's obviously their biggest need. I just think like Jordan Davis is probably the best pick here.
Yeah, I do love Jordan Davis. We'll get to when I have him picked. He's just fantastic. And like he ran a 4.52 and he's like
There's
340.
no way he won a 4.52. I'm pretty sure it was a fourth.
He
Uh,
he ran pretty fast for a guy that was 340 pounds.
I'm checking. It was a 4.78, but still that's
Okay, 4.78.
extremely
But
fast for a guy who is of his weight.
yeah. Okay, yeah. But so you have him selecting Jordan Davis, and now we go on to 13.
13, Texans keep their pick. Ahmad Gardner, where you had him going up pretty high. I think the Texans try to get a good corner here, and while they went offensive line with their first pick, I think they go defense here.
Okay, I'm going defense as well, but I'm selecting Jermaine Johnson, the edge. So building up the trenches. Now it's my turn. 14, Ravens selecting wide receiver Jamison Williams. So I think the Ravens will take their time and let Williams come back, and then they'll have a great punch with Marquise Brown and Jamison Williams.
I am also having the Ravens go on the opposite side of the ball, but I think they go O-line and take Trevor Penning, offensive tackle. I like Penning. I don't know if he'll go this high. He's from Northern Iowa. He is definitely a force to be reckoned with against his opponents, but because of those, we'll see how high he goes. I like him. I think the Ravens go offensive line because they obviously lost Villanueva and they need to protect Lamar, who's been hurt recently. So I think they go Trevor Penning.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be interesting. They do need offensive line help, but I'm going wide receiver.
Next, Eagles. They keep their pick. Obviously, they had made a trade already with the Saints, so that doesn't count into our trades. I have Garrett Wilson, Ohio State, going to the Eagles. I feel like he's probably the best wide receiver available at this point in the draft. I really like his intangibles, and I think that's a great pick for the Eagles.
I do agree with you because that's who I have picked as well. Garrett Wilson to the Eagles. That's the first time we agree.
Yeah, that may be the only time.
Yeah, it might be. But yeah, you mentioned it well, so I'll just go to 16. The Falcons are here because I had the Falcons trading with the Saints. Falcons need a wide receiver because Calvin Ridley is suspended, so they get Chris Olave from Ohio State.
Wow. So I obviously have a trade here too. Giants to trade with the Saints. They got 16 and 19. Tyler Smith, offensive lineman. I think the Giants go O-line here. They need O-line and edge, which may give you a little bit of a hint where I have them going at 19. But I think this really will help Daniel Jones as he's had fumble trouble. He doesn't necessarily have enough time in the pocket, and the wide receiver core has not been the greatest. Mainly that's because he doesn't have enough time to throw to them. So I feel like here they take an offensive lineman, Tyler Smith, who I really like, and picks up probably the most important position on the field besides QB.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I do agree with that. It'd be a good move, even if Daniel Jones is not your QB. Offensive line just helps everything.
Yeah. And then I'm agreeing with a lot of mock drafts here. I've seen a lot of mock drafts have the Chargers taking Trick McDuffie, the corner. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially in their division with all the talented wide receivers there. And maybe the Chiefs get Debo. If that were to happen, then again, taking a corner here, Trick McDuffie, I really like him. He went to Washington. I do think he'll be the best uh, corner at this point in the draft, and I think it's probably the best decision for the Chargers to make taking a corner.
Yeah, so that would make sense, but Jordan Davis is still on my board. So I have the Chargers selecting Jordan Davis. And I believe defensive tackle was one of your needs for the Chargers.
Yes, it was one of my needs for
So
the Chargers.
They fill a big need here. And man, Khalil Mack, Jordan Davis, Joey Bosa.
Yeah, that would be a very, very intimidating front.
So, yeah, now we're going to 18, where I have the Eagles selecting safety Kyle Hamilton. Do we agree?
I have at 18 the Eagles taking Kyle Hamilton. Why do we?
Hey.
It's crazy. It's crazy because I think the only two picks
it's
we're gonna
just the
agree in
Eagles.
are both Eagles picks. That's crazy. I swear, I
crazy.
swear we did not look at each other. I swear we did not.
Yeah, I made sure I avoided Austin's.
Yeah,
so.
I did not look at yours even once. There's no way we. I'm like, I'm making. I like Notre Dame. My family's always liked Notre Dame, even though they're not my favorite team. But Kyle Hamilton was somebody I really liked, but I felt like I was making him fall a little bit too far, and the Eagles makes too much sense not to take Kyle Hamilton here.
I felt the same way because like Kyle Hamilton, I think was a great safety for Notre Dame, and people are like, I'm going top 10. And I was like, I have him going 18, and some people had him like going to like 20, and I'm like, this feels weird, but I feel the Eagles would take a guy for their secondary like Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So at where are we 19? I have the Giants taking George Karlaftis, edge rusher. I think the Giants here need to fix up that position. It's been something that they have been lacking for a while now. A solid edge rusher, probably since Justin Tuck, and before that, obviously Michael Strahan. So I feel like that's probably the best move here is to take George Karlaftis out of Purdue.
Yeah, so I still have Saints keeping their pick, and they need an O lineman. So I'm selecting Trevor Penning, and you had Trevor Penning going to the Saints.
No, I had Trevor Penning going to the Ravens.
Okay.
At 14.
Okay. But I have them staying pat, getting Trevor Penning, getting a tackle because they lost Teron Armstead, and then they have their QB in Malik Willis as well. So now we can go to 20. And this is where I have another QB coming off the board, and it's the Steelers selecting Desmond Ritter. I just think I'm not sure if the Steelers want to trade up because I think they want to keep their pick so they can add more players. And I think Desmond Ritter is a good QB next season, and he has still room to grow. So I think Mike Tomlin will like Desmond Ritter because he can play for him now, give him a chance to win, and they can just play well, and he's a young QB. So I just really like this pick.
Yeah, at 20, I had Desmond Ritter, but I had the Seahawks making that trade with the Steelers, so the Seahawks take Desmond Ritter. So the Steelers try to get Malik Willis up in the high in the draft at 9, but the Seahawks take Desmond Ritter at 20. So we had the same player going at 20, just to different teams.
Okay. Yeah. So we could each get a point, but we could get another point if we got the right team.
Yes. Now 21, Patriots. This is one that I thought we were both going to agree with because I feel like it's a big need. Linebacker. I had Devin Lloyd going to the Patriots. We may agree on this. We may not, but I feel like that's probably the best move for the Patriots moving forward is to pick up a linebacker. That's their biggest need, definitely.
So I had went to multiple versions of my mock draft, and I had them selecting a linebacker, but I changed it because I was looking at my board, and Tyler Lindenbaum from Iowa was still on the board, and I'm like, they just traded away Shaq Mason, and I really like Tyler Lindenbaum. So I have them selecting him and building up that offensive line. So we do not agree. But now we get to 22. I think you're going to like this pick. The Packers select a first-round wide receiver, and it is Treylon Burke.
We agree on 3. It's Traylon Burks. Burks, by
Burks?
the way.
Okay,
But
I
yes,
wasn't sure about
if there's
that, yeah.
any pick I want to get right, it's this one. Not only is he one of my favorite players in the draft, obviously, I believe he's very talented. Arkansas did not pass the ball very much all season, but he still had a ton of yards, a ton of touchdowns, and I do believe that's just like what the Packers like to do. Those like a MVS who obviously went to the Chiefs. He's very MVS like, big plays, big plays, big plays, and I think that he could really help rebound a team that obviously lost Devontae Adams and MVS.
Interesting. So we have 3. I wasn't going to think we were going to agree on 3 picks, but yeah, I think they do select the wide receiver and Burks on the board fits.
Yeah. So at 23, I have the Cardinals also taking a wide receiver, Chris Olave. Obviously, they lost Christian Kirk, and I do think that that's a position that they need to take here. Not necessarily at this pick, but in the draft. I think Chris Olave falling all the way to 23 is pretty surprising, but I do think it's going to happen, obviously, because I have him here. The Cardinals probably also want to take him to help keep Kyler Murray happy, who has obviously been very, I don't know how to say it. He's been hinting at not wanting to leave, but at the same time not wanting to leave, verbally speaking. So I don't really know what's going on there, but I do think they take Olave here.
So I have George Karlaftis here, and they did lose Chandler Jones, so I think they do get a nice edge with Karlaftis. So I'm going defense on here, but wide receiver does make sense. But I think they can snag a wide receiver in the second round because this is a deep wide receiver draft. But now we can go to 24, where my Dallas Cowboys go with an offensive lineman, Zion Johnson.
This is crazy. Yeah, I have Zion Johnson. This is actually crazy. I don't know how we've had. I swear we didn't look at each other's. I made this list before Kevin even put his list down in the thing, and Kevin was making his on a separate Google Doc. So
I was done before you had posted it in this doc, but I had a separate doc.
Like, yeah, I didn't. Oh man, I don't know how, but obviously the Cowboys need an offensive lineman. It made too much sense not to take the Boston College product.
Yeah, I don't really like how the Cowboys offseason has gone because they've really just you could have said they need a wide receiver if they still have Amari Cooper or like Gallup, or they need offensive linemen whilst retaining Leo Collins, but they just decided to get rid of them before the draft. And it was just like, okay, you just made your needs bigger. So now you have to address it in the draft. Where like, hey, you can address it in the draft. But I'd be fine with Zion Johnson. But there are some like, if you had him going defense here, I would be pretty happy with that because I would like to have our defense get better. But I think they've made offensive line a need, so they get a good lineman in Zion Johnson.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. So at 25, the Bills, I have them keeping their pick. I have them taking Kyer Alam, cornerback. I think cornerback's probably the biggest position they need to address here in the first round, especially. I really like Kyer Alam. I see a lot of mock drafts having him in the 20s, some of them having him in the 15s-ish range. He's pretty good out of Florida. He was a junior last year. I think that he'll be a good product.
So I have the Bills going on the offensive side, selecting running back Breece Hall. So I think running back's a need for him, and then get a nice running back in the later round of the first round, which I think that's when you should start. Like I would never draft a running back in the top 15 picks. 15 to 20, okay, maybe not, but yeah, but 20 to like 32, I'm like, okay, I can see it because then you get a fifth-year option and you get to get most of the productive years of your running back on a nice contract. So I think running back, would be a great addition to their offense, and I'm getting the Beast Hall from Iowa State.
Yeah, I actually have no running backs going in my first round. But I don't necessarily agree with you not taking one in the top 15. I feel like that's a little bit too much. It depends on the talent. We'll have to see. Obviously, injuries happen to running backs a lot, but obviously there's Derrick Henry products that never really get hurt all that much. Obviously, he was hurt partial last season, but still played in the playoffs and has had a 2,000-yard season. It just depends. But
Well, yeah, on that, my way, I know I'm going to miss out on Derrick Henry. And I'm like, Derrick Henry's 1 in a million. It's going to be hard. So I know I'm going to miss out on guys like Derrick Henry with my philosophy, and I'm just going to accept it.
well, the crazy part about Derrick Henry is he fell to the second round. But my point was
Yeah.
like a Derrick Henry talent. Like I'm actually shocked he fell that far, considering how high
Oh, yeah.
Zeke went. But
I would love if you can snag a running back in the second round. It's great. But we'll definitely have to do a running back conversation. But we'll go to 26, which is me, and that's the Titans. And I'm selecting an offensive lineman, Kenyon Green from A&M.
there's no
Did we
way.
agree on
There's no way you did that. No.
I did do that. You can scroll down.
Oh, I have him getting Green to the Titans as well. That's actually crazy. They need offensive linemen. It makes too much sense. Derrick Henry was hurt last year. They need more time for Ryan Tannehill. It just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So now we can go on to 27.
Yeah, 27. I have the Bucks taking a cornerback, Kyler Gordon. I think that he is a good corner here, and the Bucks obviously need to fill up a position that was pretty injury prone last season.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going corner as well, but I'm selecting Trent McDuffie from Washington, who you had gone a few picks earlier, like 5 or 6.
McDuffie, I had it 17, so that was 10
okay.
picks ago.
Yeah, okay, 10 picks. But yeah, McDuffie's still on the board, and I think they snag him, and it'll be good to pair him with that defense because, like we mentioned, injuries. But now we have 28. Devin Lloyd is my pick for the Packers because the linebacker, and he is still on the board. So I think they add defense. They got your wide receiver. Now you can add more to your defense.
I disagree. I think they go offensive lineman here and take Bernhard Rahman. I really think, or Raymond, however you say it, he's a very good talent. I think that he is probably the best pick here for them. He's obviously the center out of Michigan. I really like how, or no, he went to Central Michigan. That's my bad. I read it wrong. But I think that's definitely a position that the Packers need to address after losing so many guys to the Chargers and otherwise. And obviously they have Aaron Rodgers, so they need to protect him. And linebacker we got back are all pro guys, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm more worried about edge, but I feel like we address that further down in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. I see your point. I just think linebacker, just get some nice guys on defense. Add in Devin Lloyd too. Already, you have Devondre Campbell. But now, now we're at 29.
So at 29, I have I have the Chiefs taking Devontae Wyatt, defensive lineman. I really like Devontae Wyatt as well. I don't think he should fall this far, but he probably will. Not many people are that high on him like I am, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, so this is my Deebo Samuel trade. I have the Chiefs trading 29 and 30 to get Deebo Samuel to help them now, and then the Niners get 2 first-round picks, and they select Kyer Elam, the cornerback from Florida.
Kyer?
This corner was a week. Yeah, Kyer.
Elam or Elam?
Elam. That's who they select because they need secondary help, and they get a nice player in Kyer. So now we go to 30, where I have the Niners. I have them selecting wide receiver Jahan Dotson from Penn State.
Got it. I also have a wide receiver going here, but to the Chiefs, because they do not get Deebo in my prediction, the Jets get Deebo. They take a wide receiver here, Christian Watson. I think that they need to address wide receiver if they do not get Deebo. So I feel like they do.
Yeah, I agree. So I could see him drafting wide receiver, but I think Deebo makes sense now, and I think they were willing to pay Tyreek, but Tyreek didn't want to play with him, so they get Deebo. Very similar to Tyreek. But now we can go into 31.
So at 31, I have Tyler Linderbaum. You had him going pretty high, but I think the Bengals take an offensive lineman again here to try to bolster something that really was the reason why they lost the Super Bowl.
So I'm getting a corner, and that is Kobe Bryant, the cornerback from Cincinnati. I really like him, and I really like that tandem between Sauce and Kobe, and I think the Bengals get a guy who in Cincinnati, and they just make him a Bengal. So corner is my choice, even though offensive line would not be a problem. So now we go on to 32. I can't believe this guy falls this far in my mock draft. I absolutely love Nakobe Dean, and it's the Detroit Lions selecting Nakobe Dean. I know you and I have talked about Nakobe Dean, and we disagree a little bit. I think he's just fantastic. I know he's a little bit undersized, and I've heard there are some injury issues, but the tackles he made for Georgia last season were just incredible. Even though he was playing with a great defense, I think he's going to be a great player. And just the speed that the NFL is now, I think if you can get a speed linebacker like Nakobe Dean, it would totally work, and the Lions get a good defender.
Here we go. Last pick. Trade. Panthers trade with Lions for the 32nd pick, and they take Kenny Pickett. You remember a long time ago, long time ago, you had Kenny Pickett going to the Panthers. And I said, just wait, just wait, just wait. This is going to get crazy. And it does. 32, we both have the Panthers taking Kenny Pickett, just 26 picks apart.
Wow. I don't know if Kenny Pickett falls that far, even though it probably is the right decision to wait on Kenny Pickett. I just don't know if the Panthers are willing to risk it. But that is a great way to end our mock draft. I'm so excited to see what happens. But there's a lot of sports happening tonight. It will be interesting to see how this draft shakes out, because I think there's going to be one big trade. Like if it's Debo being traded and or a trade to get a QB, because we've both said this is not the year to get a QB. Like, are there more than 3 QBs drafted? I'd be shocked if there were, because then you have Matt Corral, who's injured, and who is the 4th guy?
You mean the 5th?
Fifth. Who's the 5th QB? Do you know?
I'm thinking.
I know Corral. Oh, it's Sam Howell, the guy.
Oh, yes, it's Sam Howell. I just finally found one that had him going in the first round at number 32, but
Interesting.
I Pickett fallen.
Yeah, I know some people had like Lions selecting Kenny Pickett. I do not think the Lions should select a QB
I agree.
this year.
I think Jared Goff is fine.
Yeah, Jared Goff is fine for what you have now. Like, you're building a team, and like he's a good player. So just stay with him, and you have contract money tied to him. So just build other parts of your team and select great players, and then you have a great team. And then if you want to get a QB, once Jared Goff's deal's up, you can go get a QB and risk all those picks. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And thank you for listening. Any final thoughts, Austin?
I did not expect. How many people did we have
4?
at the same spot?
2 Eagles, 1 Packers, 1 Cowboys. So 4.
We also had. Didn't we have Kenyon Green?
Oh, yes, we did. So 5. And then
we both have Desmond Ritter going at 20.
Yes.
And we both have Kenny Pickett going to the Panthers.
Yeah.
So 7, if you count those as both a half. 7. Both of those are a half. So we have 7. Yeah, that's crazy. I did not expect that much.
Yeah, I didn't expect that much too. I thought you and I weren't going to agree at all, but we did. This was really fun, and I can't wait for next year, and I can't wait to the review of this, because that'll be it, and we'll be talking to you then. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.